Hi, I'm Craig from DIY Modern. Today I'm going to show you how to make this modern, boomerang-inspired guitar stand. Let's get started. So for this project, you're going to need some 3/4 inch plywood, 1/4 inch craft foam, 4 1/4 inch T-nuts, 4 1/4 inch by 1.5 inch screws, 1.5 inch drywall screws, and some spray glue. Now, we picked up this maple plywood at Home Depot. At this point, I just traced the template onto the plywood and cut out the pieces freehand with a circular saw. I'm going to sand everything later, so it doesn't matter if the lines are perfectly straight or not. Here I'm just taping the two bottom pieces together to cut the curves out on the bandsaw. I'm using a bandsaw, but if you don't have a bandsaw, you can use a jigsaw. It works just the same. The bandsaw is nice because of the platform. You can get nice, straight, perpendicular cuts to the boards you're cutting. You can download a detailed plan of this project at our website at www.diy-modern.com. Here I'm using a belt sander, but if you don't have a belt sander, you can just use some rough sandpaper and a sanding block. Having access to the power tools is nice, but it's not necessary for most of these projects that we work on. Here you want to tape the 4 triangular pieces together and sand them in unison so you can get that front curve piece nice and symmetrical. That's going to be the bottom front curve of the stand. I'm setting the table saw here to 8 degrees. This isn't necessary, but it's a nice step where that back piece will be at an angle so the guitars won't set right on the edge. Not necessary, but it helps a little bit. Just cutting them to length. Here I'm marking out the drill holes for all the various pieces. All of these marks will be on the template, so all you need to do is place the template back on your pieces of wood, mark the holes, and drill them through. Here I'm using a drill press. Drill press is not necessary. You can use just a regular handheld drill. I'm using a 3/8 inch bit to countersink the holes for the wood plugs that we'll be putting in later. Using a 1/4 inch drill bit, I'm drilling the holes for the 2 screws that hold the side pieces together. These holes go all the way through both pieces of wood on both sides. Now use a 5/16 inch bit to drill the countersinks for the T-nuts. In order to get an accurate depth, just put a piece of tape at the end of the drill bit about 1/4 inch from the end. That'll tell you how far down to drill. So lay the cross pieces down and drill pilot holes for the cross pieces. This will keep your wood screws from splitting out plywood. There's Toby. He was being very lazy that day, didn't want to come outside. At this point, we're going to glue and screw everything together. It's a good idea to test fit everything before you start gluing it. I had already put it all together and took it apart, and now I'm putting it back together again, this time with glue and screws. Here I'm just adding some wood glue to the holes and tapping in the wood plugs. We picked these up at Home Depot, and I really like the contrast of the end grain against the maple plywood. Here I'm painting on some wipe-on poly. It's basically a water-based polyurethane. I've never had much luck wiping it on, but I found if I use a sponge brush, it goes on pretty easy. I put on 2 coats, sanding in between each coat, and before I finally put it together, I went over the whole thing with 000 steel wool to give it a nice smooth finish. Here I'm cutting the 1/4 inch foam. You can get this foam from Michael's or craft stores. Basically, just cut it out to the size that it needs to be, use some spray glue and put it down.
So here's how the guitar stand came out. I'm really happy with the way it looks. It's nice and narrow, which is the reason why I designed it this way. I wanted something I could push against the wall and not be too wide. I like the fact that it's as narrow as it is, and I can put 3 guitars in here and 3 electric guitars, and it works great. It's very sturdy. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. If you build one of these, let us know how it goes. I'd like to see it. Thanks for watching.